We've all kind of been sold a lie about money. And that lie is that a huge salary automatically makes you wealthy. Well, in this explainer, we're going to totally dismantle that myth. We're going to uncover what true financial freedom actually looks like. And, spoiler alert, it has way less to do with your paycheck than you might think.
All right, so let's just kick things off with a simple question, one that has a surprisingly tricky answer. When you picture someone who's rich, what really comes to mind?
For most of us, it's probably this picture, right? The big modern house, the fancy car sitting in the driveway, that coveted six-figure salary. These are the classic symbols of success we've all been taught to chase our whole lives. You see this stuff, and your brain just automatically goes, wow, that person has made it.
Okay, but what if for a whole lot of people, that's all it is, an illusion? Over the next few minutes, we're going to dig into this huge gap between looking rich and actually being rich. And trust me, understanding this one difference, it's the key. It's what unlocks the door between a life of just getting by and one of real, genuine freedom.
All right, let's dive right into the heart of it all. We're going to start with probably the biggest myth out there, this idea that a six-figure salary is your golden ticket to being wealthy.
For decades, this was the benchmark, wasn't it? Hitting that six-figure salary. Most people hear that number and they immediately think, that person's got it made. All their money worries are just gone.
But in reality, that big number is like a leaky bucket. Once you start pouring in all the real-life stuff, taxes, rent or mortgage, groceries, the absolutely insane cost of childcare and healthcare, poof, that impressive figure just drains away, and it drains away fast.
And this right here reveals a super important truth. Earning a lot of money doesn't mean you're keeping a lot of money. The fact is, a ton of high earners are still just running on a financial hamster wheel. They're living paycheck to paycheck, maybe one unexpected bill away from serious trouble. It just proves that income, by itself, is not the answer.
So, if a big paycheck isn't the real measure of wealth, then what is? Well, this is where we need to completely shift our thinking.
And here it is. This is the big secret. True wealth isn't about the money that flows through your hands every month. It's about what you actually hold onto, what you keep and grow. And this one number right here, your net worth, which is just what you own minus what you owe, this is the single most important number for your financial health, period. Now, check this out, because it perfectly breaks down the difference. See, income is active. You have to trade your time for it. If you stop working, the money stops coming in. But wealth is different. It's passive. Your assets become this engine that just keeps working for you, growing your money even when you're sleeping. That is the real power of wealth.
So what does this look like in actual numbers? Well, according to most financial benchmarks, to be considered rich in the US, you're typically looking at a net worth somewhere in this ballpark, $2.5 to $5 million, or even more. And notice the key word there, net worth, not income. That is a massive, massive distinction. And we're not talking about a giant pile of cash just sitting in a bank account. No way. This wealth is more like a living, breathing portfolio of assets. It's things like your investments, real estate, retirement accounts, maybe some business equity. They're all working together as a team to grow in value over time. Okay, next up, let's talk about something that has a massive and honestly often overlooked impact on how well you can build that net worth, no matter how much you're earning.
Just take a look at this chart. A $300,000 salary. Sounds amazing, right? But in San Francisco, that might just barely cover the bills. You could still feel pretty stressed. Now take that exact same income and move it to, say, Cleveland, and suddenly you could feel genuinely wealthy. It's all about your purchasing power, how far your dollar actually stretches. And that can change, dramatically, depending on your zip code.
So the takeaway here is pretty simple, but it's also really profound. Trying to build wealth in a super expensive city can feel like you're constantly pushing a giant boulder uphill. But in a more affordable place, that same path can be so much smoother. Your location can either be a major headwind slowing you down or a powerful tailwind pushing you forward on your journey to financial freedom.
Okay, so if a giant paycheck isn't the secret and where you live is a huge piece of the puzzle, then how do most wealthy people actually get there? Well, the answer is probably a lot more straightforward than you think. This right here might be the single most important mindset shift of all. Look, we all love the stories of lottery winners or someone getting a massive inheritance, right? But for the vast, vast majority of wealthy people, the real story is, well, it's a lot less flashy, but it's also a lot more achievable. Wealth isn't something you just find.
It's something you build, brick by brick, through consistent action over a long time.
So what's the actual game plan? Well, it really boils down to the simple, repeatable 4-step process. Number 1, invest early and consistently. Number 2, you gotta avoid lifestyle creep. That's when you automatically spend more just because you start earning more. 3, focus on buying assets, things that grow in value, not liabilities that just drain your wallet. And finally, number 4, you have to be patient and let the incredible, almost magical, power of compound growth do all the heavy lifting for you.
All right, so finally, let's talk about what the real goal is here. Let's redefine it, because at the end of the day, true wealth isn't really about owning a yacht or a mansion. It's about something way, way more valuable than that.
You see, there's a huge difference between being comfortable and being truly wealthy. Being comfortable is great, don't get me wrong. It means your job pays your bills. But being rich? That's when your assets pay your bills. It's the difference between needing your job to survive and having the choice to walk away if you want to.
And that, right there, is the ultimate goal. The real prize you get from building wealth isn't about buying more stuff. It's about buying back the one thing you can never make more of, your time. It's the freedom to control your own day, the freedom to make choices based on what you're passionate about, not just what you're obligated to do. That is what true wealth is all about.
So I'll just leave you with this final thought, because it really wraps up everything we've talked about today. The next time you think about what it means to be rich, try not to look at the salary. Instead, look at the freedom. Look at the independence, because that is the real measure of success.